Hi all, in this class we are going to discuss about interview. We are going through the topic of what are the process of selection or the what are the steps involved in selection process. We have already studied the four steps. The first one is receipt and scrutiny of application. The in receipt the first process in this first process the applications from the candidates are received and they were scrutinized, and after that a preliminary interview is conducted, and this is the second step. And in this preliminary interview the basic details like name, age, educational qualifications, etc. are collected by the secretary or any other receptionist, etc. And after that a blank application form is given to these candidates, and the candidates have to be filled these blank application form, and then they have to given some kinds of tests like intelligent quotient test or emotional quotient test, like etc. And after all these four steps, the next step is interviews. In interview the filed we know the filled application form and test given information about the candidates, but this information is not sufficient for the final selection. In order to give or in order to pass it on to a final selection process, the management wants to know more about the candidates, like their personality, manners, alertness, general traits, appreciation of situation, presence of mind, etc. And it is a face to face, or interview is a face to face talk between the employer and the applicants. A definition is given by Scott, and it is the definition is like: interview is a powerful exchange of ideas, the answering of questions, and communicating between two or more persons. The interview is a powerful exchange of ideas. Through interview we have to exchange the information, like everything. The interviewer asks various kinds of questions, he want to know, and the answering of such questions, and there is a communication between or communicating between the two or more persons. And there are various types of employment interviews. Some of them are formal interview, informal interview, patterned interview, non-directive interview, depth interview, stress interview, group interview, board interviews, walking interview, campus interview, and exit interview. Some of the interviews or some of the types of interviews are normally here in our normal or a day-to-day life. And in this video we are going to discuss about the first four types of employment interviews, from formal interview to non-directive interview. The first type of interview is the formal interview. It is a formal interview is held in a formal atmosphere. It is held a formal and it is conducted in a chamber of general manager or a personal manager, and the candidates are informed about the interview in advance. The place and date of interview are shown in the interview cards, so the candidates will get sufficient time to prepare for interview. So in a formal type of interview, all the matters relating to a interviews are conducted in a formal manner, because the candidates are informed about the interview in advance, and the place and date of interviews are shown in interview cards, like that. And the second type of interview is a informal interview. In such interviews, it is an oral type of interview, and it is conducted at any place, and there is no formal place for an informal interview, and it is not a planned interview. The difference between formal interview and informal interview is that the former, that is the formal interview, is a formal in nature, that is very planned, and the interview candidates are informed in advance. But in the case of informal interview, the conducted at any place, there is no formal place for the conducting this type of interviews, and it is not a planned interview. And the third type of interview is patterned interview. The interview is planned systematically. When the interviews are planned systematically, that type of interviews are known as patterned interview. Various aspects of interviews are decided in advance, like the time to be taken for each candidate, type of information collected from candidates, etc. And these interviews are also called standardized interviews. So in this patterned interview, it is for planned systematically, and the various aspects are planned in advance, like what type of questions are to be asked and which information is to be collected from each candidate, etc. And the fourth type of interview is non-directive interview. And non-directive interviews are not a planned interview. The directive questions are completely avoided by the interviewers. And the candidates are asked to express their views on a general topic. And it aims to find out the feelings, desires, or problems of candidates. And the difference between the patterned interview and the non-directive interview, thus the patterned interview is planned systematically, but the non-directive interviews are not a planned interview. Here the directive questions are not asked by the interviewers, and the candidates have to express their feelings on a general topic, and through that the interviewer find out the feelings, desires, or problems of candidates. In this class or in this video, we are studied about what is interview and what are the four types of interview, like a formal interview, informal interview, patterned interview, and a non-directive interview. Thank you.